I'm Rachel Nutton, and I'm the CEO of Alluvia Studio. We're a medtech marketing company. We are focused entirely in medtech. We work with strategics to startups, and we just help them tell their story. And that can take shape in a lot of different ways. That might be through a project's first brand effort, which might be a pitch deck. That might be the first time they've thought about their brand and how they position themselves. We do a lot of those. We do a lot of them here for LSI, all the way to larger companies that need new campaign work, new messaging and positioning, and support for their extremely large marketing departments. Either way, we just want to make sure that we're being consistent with who that brand is, what their brand personality is, and make sure that we're a good steward of that brand. We do everything from branding to pitch decks. The bulk of the work that we do, though, is in either strategic messaging and positioning for either a company or a campaign, a tremendous amount of support design work for email marketing, social media, brochures, trade shows, anything that gets printed or sent out. We do a great deal of design work, and then presentations. We'd like to think of ourselves as storytellers in the presentation process. We're also going to make it look amazing in the end. We play a really big role in startups because we do pitch decks and they're pursuing funding that's critical to getting their next milestone, to get in their clinical study. And so spending some time and effort and a small investment in a pitch deck has huge dividends. And this is usually when we get to know the company and we're helping them build the brand in the process. They might not even have clear messaging. They might have the standard headlines on every slide that they do. And we try to help tell that story. Here in the other place, they only have a few minutes, right? They might even have 30 seconds with somebody. They've got to distill that down. So in the process of helping them work through a pitch deck and work through their story, that helps them with those foundational messaging pieces that they're going to need for any pitch. We have a lot of different clients, and as I mentioned, they range from startup to strategic, and their needs are different. Their budgets are different, and even the way they look at marketing is different. Often we find that someone who is earlier in the process, earlier stage, actually needs a little bit of education about the process. They can understand the full benefit of doing the right kind of branding. A larger company that has a very strong brand, we're really there to support it and make sure that we're taking care of that brand for them. So we do play a lot of different roles, from strategic to extremely tactical. I think some things that we keep in common for that is project management is really critical. It's underestimated how much work goes into making sure things get done on time, get done as they want it. And we always say, you should be delighted with the first product you get with us. This is not a working draft for you to have to come back and edit and tell us what to do. We should have understood you in the process. That really applies no matter what I'm working on. So it could be a pitch deck or it could be a new branding campaign. We're going to take that same approach. We just scale what that deliverable is. I think something that clients really appreciate working with us is our background in healthcare. We don't have to learn on your dime when you're working with us. We've done it. We've launched products. We've sold products. I even worked in the healthcare system in hospital marketing when I first started my career. So I kind of understand that ecosystem. I know what it's like to have a tough conversation with a doctor. I know what it's like to go to a value analysis committee. And at the end of the day, everything you do for your brand, your marketing, your messaging is going to filter to some of those different audiences. So I think one of the things that helps is we can shortcut maybe another agency that's not focused or doesn't have that level of experience, and save a lot of time for our clients. We really believe that our job is to make their lives easier and make them look good. And we have a pretty great way of doing that because we know what their business is about. I think people think of marketing as sort of extra sometimes, people, especially who are new to it, and they don't understand what goes into it and how important it is. I hate to say it, but it's one of those you pay now or you pay later. And I think establishing the brand and the marketing as early as possible actually helps organize the company as well. So if you're a startup and you haven't defined your values and you haven't defined like what are your key milestones in terms of messaging and where do you want your claims to be and how is your messaging going to support that? Your R&D schedule, your clinical schedule may not support where you want to be in the future. So I think having a marketing mindset throughout the process is really important. You don't have to necessarily involve an agency in that, but you need to be thinking ahead how you're going to commercialize. We certainly hear about that a lot in the panels at LSI. The two things that I hear frequently is make sure you have your regulatory and your commercial plan in mind and be working that early on. And that involves marketing and how you're going to position it and testing ideas and concepts with customers early. When you're testing a prototype, when you're testing a concept with someone, why not also test how you're going to position it? Because we know it's a very competitive market. There are a lot of people chasing multiple solutions to big problems that we have. Technology is important and data is very important, but also how you're positioning it is as important. And so I would encourage people to think about that early on. One thing that I see sometimes from founders and CEOs at the early stage is they're doing it all themselves. And I can completely relate to it because I'm a CEO of a small company as well. And I understand the need to get it right. And when it's your heart and your passion behind it, you feel like you're the only one that can do it. You also might not have a great big budget to do it as well, and I can appreciate that. But if you could find a thought partner who can help pull some of that burden off of you and you can make some sort of investment in marketing, it really takes the load off of that CEO who has many, many things to do. I've seen some very stressed out CEOs who are trying to do it all, and at the end of the day, it ends up being a little bit of a last ditch effort to get materials out the door, to get a presentation ready. And if they could think about that and involve a partner in the process, even with a small budget, it might benefit them to do it. We've talked a lot about startups, but what I'm really proud of is my relationship with strategics. I've had relationships that go 12 years back, and the business with those clients has continued to grow over time. And I think it's just how you do the work. If you're authentic, if you can really serve as a thought partner, some clients call us a second brain. When you can just give it to someone and trust that it's going to be done correctly and to your standards, that's something that keeps clients coming back. And I've seen people move from company to company and they've moved up the ladder and they've moved in scale and they've given us some really great opportunities. And it's, I think, recognition of how we do work. We want to do it with excellence and we want to make them look good. And they'll just keep coming back to us for that. Innovation is part of what we do because it's part of our core values. So continuous improvement is one of our top 5 values. And so it's really in our DNA and it's how we do things. I have a team that embraces continuous improvement every day. They teach each other new things. I teach them things, and we have a lot of education built into what we do. We also scan the environment, scan the competition, see what's happening. I think that's just part of always delivering better services. We're always looking at the next revisions better. In fact, we have a thing that we use, define, refine, shine. It's how we named the company Alluvia Studio. Alluvia is a type of gold, Alluvian gold. And the refining process is when you remove the impurities from the gold. And then as you turn it into a deliverable, it gets stronger. So we feel like marketing and messaging is like that. So there's always room for one more round of improvement in what we do and in what we learn. And we're always looking out for new talent and capabilities that we can add. One of the things I think is really important to branding is knowing what your values are and defining those values early on. And in our company, I've had the same values for years, and I carried that through when I built my company. And one of those is continuous improvement. So for us, every day, it's something new. We're always wanting to learn from our clients. We learn from the industry. We attend events so that we can stay up on things. So it is in our DNA to keep changing and learning. I think having a competitive spirit is good. So we always look at competition and see what they're doing. There's plenty of business to go around, obviously, in our space. And people who are specialized in med tech marketing are few. But I like to see what other people are doing and say, you know what, that's for them. That's not for us. But here's somewhere we can develop. Building talent is another area. So continue to bring on people with diversified skill sets. As clients come to us and as we build those relationships, the scope of services that they want continues to grow. We have an amazing team. I'm so proud of the work that they do. I talked about values in one of my stage opportunities, and one of the things that I love is that everybody's so in line with those. They have their own values, but I can see that they resonate with our entire team and they care passionately about our clients. One thing that does make us different as an agency is we really don't outsource work. Our employees are full time, they're in office with us, and the hallway conversations that we have, I think, give us an advantage over a very remote world. And so they put their heart and soul and attention to detail to everything that we do. So the designers are checking copy, and the copywriters are checking design, and designers are coming up with headlines. It's a very collaborative effort, and I think that creates so much value in the work that we do. We've started a new blog series where we focus on what we call the 10 top things that great marketing companies do. Kicked it off actually last year with a presentation at LSI in Barcelona, and we have postcards. And what we try to do is take the great brands, what the great clients that we work with do, and distill that down so that someone else can benefit from it. No matter the size of the client or the project that they're working on, I think they would always benefit from thinking through a few things. One is making sure that you're consistent. We've heard a lot here about the need to pivot. When is the right time to pivot? And the ability to pivot is important. At the same time, constantly pivoting is giving a mixed message to your audience. So go through the work to come up with a very solid brand position, solid messaging, and then stick with it. Tweak it, test it. If something really doesn't work, that's okay. But what great brands do is they find a place and then they just own it over and over and over again. And that's what we want people to do, whether they're on stage talking about their company or whether they've got an established brand. We want to make sure that the customer knows exactly why they're going to go to this client for what they need. Um, that's one of the things that we really instill. Let's make sure we get it right the first time.